Inshallah, we'll continue so that we can get to the actual Adhkar. After talking about how he put the book together, what he did, depending on only authentic hadith, and trying to put them in a nice order and put them into chapters, explaining some of the strange words. We just left out Abu Tahir. Explaining some of the strange words, dividing it into two sections. And then he says, وَصَدَرْتُهُ بِفَضَائِل. Then I prefaced it with some benefits. Benefits of the virtues of the rather I prefaced it with some virtues of talib al-ilm, gathering to learn and so on. And he وَسَمَيْتُهُ, and I called it al-Adhkar wal-Adab, the words of remembrance and the etiquettes. He continues, he says, وَطَالِبُ الْعِلْمِ, and the student of knowledge, qudwatun, he's the qudwa, again, from qaf, dal, wa, wow. He's the example. Li ghayrihi, other than him. Li, for, ghayri, other than him. So the student of knowledge, wa talib al-ilm, qudwatun li ghayrihi. He's an example for other than him. Wa huwa awla an-nas bit-tahalli bil-adab fi hayatihi wa mu'amalatihi. Wa huwa awla an-nas. Awla means like awwa and ula, but awla means more deserving. He takes priority. Huwa awla, he is more deserving. He takes priority from the people. An-nas, awla an-nas, the most deserving of the people. Bitahalli, with this adornment. He's the most deserving to be adorned. Bil adab, meaning not the most deserving is like he deserves it more than you deserve it, meaning he should do so more than the rest of the people. Huwa awla an-nas bitahalli, with this adornment. Bil adab, with etiquettes. Fi hayatihi, in his life. Hayat is life, in his life. Wa mu'amalatihi, from amala, but it means his interactions with others. Mu'amala is his interactions with others. So when you get to books of, for instance, fiqh, like Dalil al-Talib or Minhaj al-Salikin, or even Bulugh al-Maram, other than them, even though Bulugh al-Maram is a book of hadith, it's also a book of fiqh. The first part is usually having to do with ibadat, right? Ibadat, the forms of worship. So we'll talk about tahara, salat, zakat, siyam, hajj, and then it'll go to mu'amalat, right? Which is the interactions, talking about marriage, divorce, business, crimes and punishments, stuff like that. So books are divided like that. Mu'amalat. Mu'amalat are the interactions with others. So the student of knowledge is more, he's an example for other than him, and he is more deserving that he adorns himself with these etiquettes in his life and in his interactions with others. Wa ahra, from hara, but he is ahra, it's more appropriate. Ahra, meaning more appropriate, bi'an, that he yudim Yudim from dawama, that he be consistent. Dhikrullah, that he constantly be in the remembrance of Allah. Bi kulli ahwalihi, in all, again kulli, synonym for jami', in all of his ahwal. Ahwal is the plural of hal. Kayfa hal, kayfa haluka. How, what is your condition? Ahwalihi, in all of his conditions. Wa ahra, and is more appropriate, bi an yudin, that he be consistent and constant and always dhikrullah, in the dhikr of Allah, bi kulli ahwalihi, in all of his conditions. Lida, due to that. That here is like dhalika, right? And you'll learn that, like, I'm not going to go into it right now, but like hadihi, hada, I did that line there, hada, dhalika, tilka. For us, we basically usually learn that this is a word. Hadihi is a word. Hada is a word. Dhalika is a word. Tilka is a word. But actually, hada is 3 parts. Hadihi is 3 parts. Dhalika is 3 parts. The tha means something. The tha means something. The kaf means something. Later on, inshallah ta'ala. So, that. So, due to that, ja'altu, I made, ja'ala, to make, ja'altu hadha al-matna. I made what? I made this matan. And matan is mansoob because it's a badal, a replacement for hadha. فَجَعَلْتُ الْمَتْنَ, or جَعَلْتُ هَذَا الْمَتْنَ. I made this text. Matan is the body of a letter, like, you know, when you have something which has an explanation, and then you see, like, up here it's in bold, and then down here it's not bold. This is the explanation. This is the matan of the book, and this is the explanation. So basically, he made this matan mustawwan from sawa. هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون? Are those equal? From sawa, to be equal. Those who know and those who don't know. Sawa, so are they equal? Meaning, are they on the same level? So mustawa is the noun for level. So I made this matan a level tamhidiyan, from mim hal da, meaning a beginner, right? To make something smooth. Mahada means to make it smooth, and to flatten it, making it easy for a beginner, basically. So he made this matan in Adhkar wal Adab, beginner's level. Mustawwin tamhidiyan bayna yaday al-mustawiyat al-khamsa. Between, and here yaday means hands, but it doesn't mean hands here. Yad means hands. Here it means in front of. If you have something in your hands, it's in front of you. So, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasuli. Don't come in front of Allah and His Messenger. But it uses the word yaday, meaning the hands. But because what's in your hands is in front of you. So that's how it's used. Bayna yaday. So when a person's praying and he doesn't take a sutra, he's praying and he doesn't have a sutra, how far in front of him can I walk? They say, Bayna yadayhi. Don't cross Bayna yadayhi. Meaning when he makes sajda and his hands are here, his head is here, don't go between his hands, meaning Baina Yadehi, where he's going to place his hands, Baina Yadehi. Don't go in front of him that amount. And you can walk over here anywhere. So Baina Yadehi is a phrase meaning in front of him. Al-Mustawiyat al-Khamsa. Baina, in front of Al-Mustawiyat al-Khamsa min Mutun Talib al-Ilm. Because he had, before he printed this book, and this book is very recent, I think within the last year, that he had 5 levels before that. And we're going to go into level 1, inshallah ta'ala, and take it in some deep, inshallah, understanding. But he had 5 levels until you memorize Bulugh al-Maram and Zad al-Mustaqni and Alfiyat ibn Malik. That's level 5. Bulugh al-Maram, 1400 hadith, basically. Zad al-Mustaqni, a famous fiqh book in the Hanbali fiqh. And Alfiyat ibn Malik, 1,000 lines of poetry on Arabic grammar. That's level 5. He has Kitab al-Tawheed and many other books in the other levels. So he placed this book in front of those books. Liyakuna, to become, or to be, yakunu, to be, li, so it will be, li here is like, so that it will be, aunan, aun, ain waw noon, help. We know a word similar to that. Does anyone know a word similar to aun, or what that root is? A word based off the root of aun. Nasta'inu. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Aun, nasta'in. Right? So that it will be a help. Lil talib, for the student. Ala mubtagha. Ala mubtagha. And mubtagha is ba ibtagha, baga'ain. Meaning here, this is a form 8 verb, even though it's not a verb here, it's from form 8. Meaning what he seeks or what he desires. Men yabtaghi ghayra din al-Islam. Whoever seeks a religion other than Islam. Right? Mubtagha. This is what he desires. Liyakuna aunan, so that it will be a help litalib, for the student, ala mubtagha, upon what he desires. As'alullah, I ask Allah, from sa'ala, I ask Allah, an yanfa'a, that he benefit bihi, with it, that he makes it beneficial, basically. Yanfa'a bihi, that he makes it beneficial. وَيَجْعَلُهُ ذُخْرًا, and that he makes it ذُخْرًا. It's something stored away. Provisions. Something that you store away. Or provisions, right? Like we have the book in Nasa'i, Dhakhiratul Uqba, same word, ذُخْرًا. Right? And yaj'aluhu dhukhran lana yawm al-qiyamah. And he makes it provisions, something that's stored away for us on the day of judgment. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Then he wrote his name, Dr. Abdul Muslim ibn Muhammad al-Qasim, the Imam wa Khatib in the Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina. Any questions up to this point? Okay. Summarizing here. Here we go. First section, as he said, Sadartuhu bil fada'il. I prefaced it with some fada'il. He's not going to get directly into the Adhkar right away. He's going to talk about some virtues. Fada'il, the plural of Fadal. The plural of Fadal. Fadal, Fada'il. meaning virtues. Fadlu talib al-ilm. Fadlu talib. This doesn't say talib like the student, not the virtues of the student. Talibul ilm. No, it's talabul ilm. Talabun means the search. Talib means the searcher. Right? The student is the one who searches knowledge. He looks for it. He seeks it out. Talabun is the actual seeking or the search. So fadlu talib al-ilm. Mudaf, mudaf ilayh, and this is mudaf, mudaf ilayh. So the virtues of seeking knowledge. This first talib, it doesn't have alif lam, even though it's mudaf ilayh, and we know usually, almost always, mudaf ilayh is on the, has alif lam, but it doesn't have it because it was dropped, because it's mudaf to ilm. So you drop it in order for it to be mudaf. Because it's mudaf ilayhi and it's mudaf. So the virtues of seeking knowledge. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, in this hadith, as we see, if we go down to the footnote there, it's found in Muslim. Rawahu Muslim here, right? But where? Who narrated it? I want to know a little bit more than the Prophet ﷺ said it. This hadith is in number 6853 in Sahih Muslim. On Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. As we said, Rawahu Muslim. So we have An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's saying to us here, Men salaka, whoever, salaka. Salaka meaning treads. Treads, to walk, to travel. All of those meanings. Whoever goes, whoever takes a path. Tariqan, whoever does what? Whoever travels what? Travels a path. Therefore it's mansub because it's the object of the salaka. What are you traveling? What are you taking? What are you treading on? Tariqa, a path. Yaltalmisu. Yaltalmisu is from lamasa, which is to touch. Lamasa is to touch something. Touch it, what are you doing? If I reach out and touch something, what did I do? I sought it out. So if I reach out and touch the cloth, I sought out that cloth. Do you understand? I reached out, I sought it. I didn't just reach it. I reached for a reason. I was teaching for it. So whoever travels a path, yaltalmisu fihi ilma. And this is a form 8 verb. This is a form 8 verb. Whoever travels a path seeking in it, fihi ilma. Knowledge. Seeking what in it? Yaltalmis mada? Yaltalmisu ilma. So it's mansub. He's looking and seeking after knowledge. He's reaching out, trying to touch and grasp knowledge. I'm not saying yaltalmisu. Yaltalmisu means seek. It doesn't mean touch, but it comes from the root, so I'm trying to make a relationship there to know. Lemmi said to touch it, so therefore, when you yaltalmisu, you're reaching out, you're seeking for something, you went to do it, right? So the person went out. Yaltalmisu fihi ilma. He's seeking knowledge. Sahhalallahu. Allah will make easy. Sahhala. Sahhala. We know the word sahlun. It's easy. Sahhala. Allah makes it easy. What would be the masdar of sahhala? Who can tell me? Aaron's got his mic off. Huh?
Tashal. Tashil.
No. Okay, we have. I'm gonna go here. We did yesterday. We had Bawaba. Bawaba. We have Rattaba. We have Sahala. Give me a second. Let me do that again. Sahala. Okay. We had Bawaba, Tab, Weeb. Tab, Weeb. We had Rattaba, Tartib. My pen doesn't work right when it clicks all the time, and so it messes me up. Tartib. So Sahala would be Tasheel. Okay. Tasheel. I think someone was saying it, but I think he left the ya out or he didn't emphasize it, so I didn't hear it. But Tasheel, right? Tasheel. And you find books called Tasheel al-Fiqh, meaning making fiqh easy. Tasheel al-Aqidah, making Aqidah easy. Tasheel al-Nahu, making Nahu, Arabic grammar, easy. You find books with that name, now you know what it means. You know what form of verb it comes from. It comes from form 2, which puts the shadda on the middle radical. Sahala Allahu lahu. Allah makes easy for him. Bihi, because of it, because of his salaka, because of his yaltalmisu, because he is seeking, because he's walking, because he's treading, because he's looking for knowledge. Sahalallahu bihi. Allah makes for him easy because of it. Tariqan ila al-jannah. Makes what easy? Tariqan, mansub, the object of the verb. He makes the path easy for him because of it. Ila al-jannah. Any questions on that hadith? Read it for us, Abdullah.
من سلك طريق
Tariqan. Tariqan. If you're going to stop, you still have to say tariqa. You just drop one noon, you drop one alif, and you still say tariqa.
Okay, I thought I said it, but tariqa. يلتمس فيه ilma or ilman. Okay.
No, ilma.
Okay.
Ilma, if you want to stop, ilma, no problem.
Ilma. Sahhalallahu lahu.
Sahhalallahu lahu.
Sahhalallahu. Yeah. Sahhalallahu lahu. Bihi tawiqan illal jannati.
Naam. Yasin.
Naam.
Can you read the hadith for us?
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة.
عامر. Inshallah, we have quite a few people, so we're going to maybe just split it up in half. This next hadith, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, and as we see, this hadith is narrated by, if I can get my pen to stop jumping it. By Bukhari and Muslim. It's Muttafaqun alayh. Who narrated it? It's narrated by Muawiyah in both books. In Bukhari, which they give a rumuz, a rams, which is an abbreviation, they use a kha. So if you see in a book like kha, meen, ta, dal, noon, and qaf. And different people have different rumuz, different abbreviations. But kha is for Bukhari, because they'll use ba for al-Bayhaqi, right? And meen for Muslim, ta for Tirmidhi, dal for Dawood, Abu Dawood, noon for Nasa'i, and qaf for Ibn Majah, because he's from al-Qazwini tribe. Ibn Majah al-Qazwini. So they use the qaf for Qazwini, right? Because they already used the meme for Ibn Majah. So qaf. Give me 1 second here. And there's books written on it, which books choose what and all of that, right? Qaf in Bukhari. This hadith is in 3 places. I'm going to write them in English just to make it easy for me. 31:16, 71, and 73:12. In Muslim, the hadith is in number 2389 and 4956. All of them by Muawiyah. And if you look at them, it's nice. Every one of them is a different narration. They all bring a different piece of information. So there's a little bit of wording different before and after this phrase. So you can go benefit more from the hadith if you go look to those places. And this is the numbering which is used by Afwad Abdul Baqi, which is also what's used by Dar es-Salaam. So this is what you'll find in the Dar es-Salaam prints. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين. And we had this hadith right before we began this class, in the 100 hadith class. من يريد الله به خيرا. Men, whoever, yurid Allah. We said yurid is really yurid. Is really yuridu. Okay? But we said whenever a verb comes as a conditional phrase or a conditional tense, like if you do this, then that verb is majzoom. It has a sukoon on it. It doesn't have a dhamma or a kasra or a fatha. A verb never has a kasra anyway. But it doesn't have a dhamma or a fatha or a dhamma or a fatha. So it becomes majzoom. So yurid becomes, or yuridu becomes yurid. But we have a sukoon on my ya already. So I can't have 2 sukoons next to each other, and the ya is weak, so therefore I drop it. So I say yurid. Min yurid. And then this kasra here on yurid is not a kasra of grammar. It's a kasra of making smooth the reading. Because you can't say min yurid Allah and be fluent in it. So they put this kasra here to make it transition smoothly. Men yuridillahu. Whoever Allah wants bihi, for him, khayra. Wants what? Good. So it's mansoob. Men yuridillahu bihi khayra. Whoever Allah wants good, bihi, for him, yufaqihu. He gives him understanding. From faqh Faqiha. Let me see. Nope. Fa. I did that wrong. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Faqiha. I was mixing fahima up with it, and I mixed them together. Faqiha, to understand, right? Fiqh, right? Faqiha is to understand. Faqaha, again, we have that shadda there. Faqaha, right? To make him understand. And you would have the word tafqih. That would be your masdar. But there's probably a different masdar, and this is just a possible masdar because I don't ever really hear it. Tafqih. But it's in the pattern. So yufaqih, who? The second ha is him. He gives him. Who? The one Allah wants good for. Yufaqih, who? He gives him understanding. Deen, in the religion. Man yuridillahu bihi khayra yufaqihu fid deen. Any questions? Okay, Abu Tahir. اقرأ لنا.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يرد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين.
نعم. محرم.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يرد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين.
Nah, this ain't, you're not going on the radio or nothing. You know that, right? You don't have to, you don't have to get ready or nothing.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين.
Did y'all hear that little like covering up the mic because Zubair cleared his voice? He moved his mic. He put his hand over the mic first. So you heard that little click on the microphone because he cleared his voice before.
Oh, good.
Okay. No joking. Okay, I have to shrink this down a little bit, Yaquan, so that we have the next hadith all on one page. Inshallah.
I'm having issues loading tonight for some reason.
Loading what?
Yeah,
the pages?
like loading, and I had to go out a few times, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's my internet.
Yeah, me neither.
Scroll down. You're not on the right page.
Trying to get it all on one page. If y'all give me a second, I'm finding a difficulty here because it's too much space in between. Anyway, we'll just scroll it down a little bit. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مات الإنسان انقطع عنه عمله إلا من ثلاثة إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. This hadith, you can see if we go down, is Rawahu Muslim, narrated in Muslim. This hadith in Muslim, Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu. In Muslim, it's number 4223. Number 4223, this hadith. In Muslim, 4223. 4223 in Muslim. Right? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مات الإنسان. Al-insan is a person. Insan from nas, Same word, right? Nas. Nas, right? That's people. That's mankind. Al-insan is one person. إذا مات الإنسان, mat. If a person dies, انقطع, from قطعين, right? It cuts, to cut. قطع is to cut. To cut. قطع is to cut. But this is form 7 with this noon and aleph here. انقطع is form 7 of the verbs. And it's a passive form of the verb without changing the vowelings. Like when we have, for instance, akala, and they have ukila, right? Akala here is to eat. Ukila means to be eaten, or it was eaten, right? Just by changing the verb, the vowels, by changing the vowels, we made it passive. Here, this is a passive form of the verb, in qata'a, meaning to cut off. All of anhu, it's cut off. Not that he cuts off, but it's cut off. What's cut off? Amaluhu, his actions are cut off from him. Anhu, from him. Illa min thalath, except from 3, except for 3 here. So basically, إذا مات الإنسان, when a person dies, انقطع عنه عمله, his actions are cut off from him, إلا من ثلاث, except for 3. إلا, except, من صدقة جارية. صدقة جارية, صدقة, we understand. Jariya, we had that when we did Nahul Wa the other day when we said Jar al-Kalb. Jar al-Kalb, the dog ran. Jariya, running. So running, sadaqah, running, right? Like continuous. It's not stopped, right? Like a river runs, it's continuous, right? So sadaqatin jariyatin.
You said flowing too?
It could be flowing, yes. But here it means continuous. Something that keeps going, right? When someone's running, they're going. They didn't stop. They're running. So this charity is running. It's going. It's flowing. It keeps going even after his death. So he builds a well, and that well still has water in it. The people are still digging it and using it up. Then Sadaqatun Jariyah. He builds a school. People are still learning in it. People are still benefiting in that school. Sadaqatun Jariyah. O ilmin, or a knowledge. Yuntafa'u bi. Again, we have this form 7. Except in qata'a is past tense. In qata'a, yanqati'u. Yanqati'u. Present tense. In qata'a, yanqati'u. Right? Intafa'a, yuntafa'u. Yunqata'u. Yuntafa'u. Ilmun, yuntafa'u bi. A knowledge which is benefited by it. People benefit by it. So you write a book, it's read, right? And people, you die, people still read your book, still benefiting from the knowledge you left behind. Sadaqah for you. It's continuous. This action is not cut off from you. Oh, or walidin, a child. Here it's on a boy or a son, but it means a child. Walid salih, righteous son or righteous child. Yad'u lahu, he makes dua for him. Makes dua for him. Yad'u lahu. And this don't have to be necessarily your child. It could be if you open up a school and you teach those kids, you're a sheikh, and you teach those kids and they teach and they make dua for you, this counts as well. Because the student is like a son to the sheikh. So inshallah, it counts. But here it also more directly means
Jariya,
child
you said
of you, your
it
child.
is
Any questions?
Jaraya, or what's the rule? Okay. No.
Yes. Yes. Jara yajri. You tell your kid, la tajri fil masjid. Don't run in the masjid. Right? It's some dangerous wood and 2x4s and this and that around. Hey, that tajri, don't run. Take it easy. Sidewalk's not even. Got some cracks in it. Your kid's not an athlete and he's clumsy. That tajri, don't run. Right? Okay. Abdullah. I don't know if you can. What we're gonna do? Let me see here. Here's what
Just slide up. Well, just slide up once I get to the end of it.
we're gonna do.
Maybe read that ugly handwriting.
Huh?
You gonna have me reading that ugly handwriting?
Uh-huh.
What's that second letter right there?
Where? A hat.
A hat. Be high.
Be he.
No. At the beginning of the word.
Here?
No, at the beginning of that word.
This is a word right there, brother.
Well, the word before that. What are you waiting for? The word before that, man.
Yun tafa'u. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have dots everywhere. So okay, there you go.
My screen are there.
Okay, well, mine is not there. So
You should have memorized it already. Let's go.
Yeah. That's the last of it right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Kalen Nabiyyu sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ithammatal insanu in kata'a.
Say it again.
Ithammatal insanu.
Ida. Pause. Mata. Not idam.
That's not a shatter?
No.
It looks like a shatter. Okay. Ithammatal insanu in kata'a anhu. That's a shut over the main right there. Amaluhu.
Oh, no shut.
That's the part. Okay. Amaluhu illa min talatha. Illa min sadaqatin jariyatin aw ilm. What you say? Yun tafa'u. Okay, ilmin yun tafa'u bihi aw waladin salihin you you're yad'u. Yeah, okay. Yad'uluhu.
Yasin. Extra lana.
Yes, sorry. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مات الإنسان انقطع عنه عمله إلا من ثلاثة إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له.
نعم. نعم. عامر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا مات الإنسان انقطع عنه عمل أو علم إلا من ثلاثة، إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له.
نعم.
Is that a dot?
Huh?
You forgot a dot at the top.
Yuntafa'u. They're on my screen. They might appear on yours. I don't know.
No, they're not. That's what I'm telling you.
Might have the Abdullah disease. I don't know. Okay. Fadlu ta'allumil Qur'an. Okay, somebody tell me. Ta'allum. What does the meaning of ta'allum? Learning. No. Allama is to teach, to make someone know. Ta'allama is to learn. Yeah. So fadlu ta'allumi al-Qur'an. Again, mudaf, mudaf ilay, mudaf, mudaf ilay. So the alif lam is missing here because of it being mudaf as well. So the virtue of learning the Quran. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And this hadith, I'm not going to pull the footnote up. I'm going to try to keep the page where it's at. Is in Bukhari. It says down below, Rawahul Bukhari. It's narrated hadith number 5027. 5027 in Bukhari. On Uthman ibn Affan. عن عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. We had this hadith as well in 100 hadith. خيركم, the best of you. We said خير is a word that when it becomes superlative, it's the same. Khair. Unlike, for instance, Hasan. When it becomes superlative, it becomes Ahsan. No, Khair, Khair. So khairukum, the best of you. Men, whoever ta'allam al-Qur'an, learns the Qur'an. Learns what? Learns the Quran, so it's mansoob. وَعَلَّمَهُ وَعَلَّمَهُ, and he teaches it. So the best of you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. Allama, to teach. Alima, to learn. Alima, to know. Alima, to know. Ta'allama, to learn. Allama, to make someone know, which is to teach. Right? So the best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. This hadith shows us that when we learn for ourselves, and after we learn for ourselves, we also learn to remove ignorance from those around us. That's the reason we learn. We learn for ourselves and then to remove ignorance from those around us. So we have to have knowledge, we have to act on that knowledge, and we have to call to that knowledge. Right? So we want to remove the ignorance from those around us so we don't just learn and not teach. On top of that, teaching is one of the best ways to solidify what you know. So therefore, when you learn something, you teach it. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Balighu anni walau ayah." Teach from me, even if it's just one ayah. So you don't have to be a scholar to teach. You can teach. But the key word in this sentence is anni. Balighu anni walau ayah. Convey from me. You didn't say convey from yourself. Start making stuff up. Start, talking out the side of your head. No. Balighu anni. Convey from me. So if you know one ayah, convey that one ayah. Don't go try to explain it. Don't go further than what it is. Stick with what it is. Stick inside the boundaries. And then teach that one ayah, that one hadith. خيركم, the best of you, من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best of you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. Any questions?
Yeah.
Abu Tahir.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه.
نعم. محرم.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه.
يا زبير. This always happens with Zubair. Who narrated the hadith? Who can tell me?
Oh, Uthman.
Bukhari.
Who narrated this hadith?
Usman.
No, the Sahabi. Bukhari, yes. Uthman, naam, jazakumullah khairan. Yasin's paying attention at least, inshallah.
Uthman.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. This hadith is in Bukhari as well, number 4927. On the authority of Ummina, al-Mu'mineen, Abdullah, Aisha. Right? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن. The example, مثل الذي, of the one يقرأ القرآن. يقرأ ماذا؟ يقرأ القرآن. So it's the maf'ul, the object of the verb. He's reading what? Reading the Quran. It's mansub. The example of one who reads the Quran. وَهُوَ حَافِظ. And he is a memorizer. Lahu. He memorized it. This one is with ma'a. He's with as-safara, al-kiram, al-barara. Here it says down in the footnote, safara means al-malaika. He's with the angels. Al-kiram, al-mukarramun. In Allah. Al-Kiram means those who are noble. Noble, or, noble. Basically noble and have a high status with Allah. Al-Barara, al-Muti'un lillah. We would know Barara to be righteous here, he says. And it means the same thing. Those who obey Allah. Those who are obedient. Muti'un lillah. Those who are obedient to Allah. So, مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له. The one who reads the Quran, the example of the one who reads the Quran and he's a memorizer of it. مع السفرة الكرام البررة. And he's with the angels who are noble and honored with Allah, and they are obedient to Allah. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِي يَقْرَأُ. And the example of the one who reads. وَهُوَ يَتَعَهَدُ. And he is, scroll down a little bit for you. يتعاهد means يكرر قراءته لئلا ينسى. He constantly repeats it. يكرر is to repeat. كرر يكرر. You would look it up, kaf ra. The one who repeats qira'atuhu, his recitation, li'ala, so that he does not, yansahu, so that he does not forget it. And the one who he struggles with it. He's not perfect in his recitation. He has to keep reciting it. He's not perfect in his memorization. He has to keep repeating it so he doesn't forget it. وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ شَدِيد, and it's hard on him. وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ, the Quran, عَلَيْهِ, is on him, شَدِيد, it's difficult. It's not easy. This one up here, he recited it, no problem. He's hafizullahu, he knows it. But this one, huwa alayhi shadid, it's hard on him. Falahu ajran. Then for him are two ajrs, two rewards. Ajr, ajran. You know, when we want to make something dual, we put the alif noon. Kalimatan, habibatan, ila rahman, ajran. Then he has two rewards. As we said, this hadith is in Bukhari from Aisha, number 4927. Are there any questions? Yep. Zubair,
Yes, can you
with
hear
us?
me?
I can hear you now. اقرأ لنا.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة، ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهد وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
نعم يلا يا عبد الله.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة.
نعم.
ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهد وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة، ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهده وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
آمر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة، ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهد وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
نعم يلا أبو طاهر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة، ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهده وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
يلا يا Where we at? Muharram.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو حافظ له مع السفرة الكرام البررة ومثل الذي يقرأ وهو يتعاهد وهو عليه شديد فله أجران.
Naam. Inshallah, we'll stop here. We did 5 hadith and we finished the introduction. This is the 5th hadith in the book. Now, typically, you would want to memorize these hadith. But, you know, if we do 5, 6, 7 hadith a day, it's going to be difficult to memorize 5 hadith a day. So, I would say make a schedule for yourself to try to, say, for instance, there are 213 hadith in this book. 213. Some of them are real easy, like Gufranik, that you already know. Some of them you already know. So say, for instance, I'm going to memorize a hadith a day for 6 months. That's 180 days. Right? So I'm going to memorize, and 20 or 30 of these hadith you're already going to know when it comes to the Adhkar and stuff like that. So I'm going to memorize one a day. So in the next 6 months, I'm going to memorize this whole book. Something like that I would suggest. To memorize 4 or 5 a day would be difficult, but to memorize one a day and to practice it and go over it once, it's not going to be difficult, inshallah ta'ala. If there's any questions, then let me know. My text message is open. As far as technical difficulties and stuff, I don't know why someone's maybe they're not in a good reception. I don't know, because I'm here and I see everybody's thing, and you know I'm in Kuwait on Wi-Fi, so I'm not connected hard, you know, with a hard cord to a computer, and I hear and see everything. So maybe that, or maybe something else, I don't know. As far as why something's loading or we can't see, I think, for instance, if you try to scroll down or scroll over, you might miss it, but when I move the page again, it'll go back to where it should be. But we just have to figure these things out, inshallah, so we be patient with one another in that. And inshallah ta'ala, I will see you tomorrow. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Huh? Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.